it should be fine to, criticize somebody's beliefs or whatever and coexist. There are a good amount of people nowadays who view conversations like this as violence. Like, just the dialogue itself as being, well, you're attacking my identity. You're attacking who I am. It's like, no, we're attacking your ideas.
No, I am.
You're not the embodiment of your ideas.
I'm just practicing my First Amendment right.
Yeah, for real. But they don't really believe in that because
then they should go to a country where it ain't allowed.
Like, the way they view the First Amendment is speech that isn't hate speech is allowed. And hate speech
Who the
is
hell
defined.
defines hate speech?
Hate speech is defined by just modern left liturgy.
Everything can be hate speech.
Oh, anything can be. But
You can walk up to an atheist and say Jesus loves you, and they can say that that's hate speech.
the word hate has a connotation to wanting something to not exist. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Like, just if you hate something, usually you don't want it in your life. Like,
Yeah.
if I hate, say, I don't know, kale.
Unless you're fueled by hatred.
Like me. Like, if you dislike or hate a given food, that means you do not want that food in you. You do not like it. You want it to go away.
Like me with eggs.
Yeah, like you with eggs. You don't like eggs. One might say you hate eggs. So you're, like, averse to eggs. You don't want them in your life unless they're in a cake or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying that because, like, you like cake or anything. I'm just using that as an example.
That's okay. Pick
Anyways.
on the fat guy.
You're not
There's
fat.
plenty to pick around.
You're not fat. You're bulky.
Bulky.
Yes, bulky. Big boned.
Bulky. Big bone bulky.
Yes.
Man,
Okay,
fat
you're
is
fat.
fat.
We gotta
Okay.
stop getting
Anyways.
off topic so much. All right.
Anyways, yeah, true.
Women.
So, shut up. For somebody to say that something is hate speech, it is speech that they're just opposed to. That's really all it is. Like, it's just speech that they themselves disagree with. So, with that as the covering, sort of, we'll say overarching definition, then anything can be hate speech, because if they just don't like it for any reason, then by definition they hate it, and so it is speech that they deem, as something they want to be averse to. That's one way of looking at it. The other way is if the people who are saying those things are espousing something that's hateful, which is to say they're saying that, another group of people shouldn't, like, live, like in the case of, like, white nationalists or some of the crazy people who associate themselves with BLM, KKK members, like that sort of thing is hate speech by definition, because they are saying that this group of people need to be ethnically cleansed.
Mm-hmm.
So that is actual hate speech, in which, it's speech that is espousing hatred on another group of people for reasons that aren't valid at all. So it's kind of a dual way of looking at it, because technically it is hate speech to say that we disagree with, say, I don't know, transgenderism, because it's averse to what they believe, so they label it as hate speech. But we don't hate them.
Yeah.
And we don't, like, want them to not succeed in life. We just disagree with their ideology about, some weird mental complex in which they think they're chicks or dudes. It's like, we disagree.
I mean,
And that should be okay.
you choose to
We're
get,
right and you're wrong. Get over it.
you choose to get your feelings hurt.
Yes.
Like, you can kind of turn it off, like, just disregard what the other person has to say. You know what I
that
mean?
takes discipline, and that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
thing that not... Yeah.
It's extremely subjective, like, completely subjective. It's, like, I have freedom of speech, right? That's my basic human right. I have freedom of speech. It's completely subjective. I can say whatever the hell I want, whenever the hell I want, and it shouldn't really affect anybody, right?
Ideally.
As opposed to, like, if somebody said, like, oh, then that means that, murder can be my basic human right. I can kill whoever I want, whenever I want. And it's like, No, because that's objective. You're harming somebody.
Yeah, in
physically
reality.
harming somebody. Like they didn't choose that fate. You gave it to them. You know what I mean?
So in that case, like I noticed you said something that I wasn't quite sure, like what you meant by it, in which people shouldn't be affected by words that are spoken to them, because like words have meaning, and meaning on a conscious and subconscious level affects somebody. Like let's say you're I don't know, you're ordering some food from a fast food place or something like that, from like McDonald's or whatever, and um, uh, like somebody cuts you off in the line, flips you the bird, yells like "F you" out the window, and proceeds to get their like McFlurry or whatever, after cutting you off. Like that's gonna be irritating.
You have every
Yeah,
right
it's
to hit them
irritating,
with your car
but-
and flip them over. No.
But you choose how you react to that.
Yeah,
yeah.
and you can choose how irritating
Yeah,
you are as well.
it can irritate you, but like, you could just blow it off if you so wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously there are people who have very very short fuses. You know, like
I'm
they have
not one of those people.
like a very bad temperament where any little thing can piss them off. But as long as I've known a lot of people like that. But most of the time, like especially if they're very disciplined individuals, they kind of just shut up and go about their day and then forget about it. You know what I
Well,
mean?
like on the real, like I know I definitely used to be like that. Like I had a very short fuse, and it was only over time through sort of like working out those various like weird anger issues that I kind of figured out. Hey, I have self control. I can choose how I react to things, and I have much more control over myself than I think I do. So that's one of those things that's it's very beneficial and really cool once you properly get a grasp on it.
Now there's a pretty meme. Exquisite.